Tölum aðeins krossmiðlun. Þá hlýtur maður að spyrja sig, hvað krossmiðlun? Til að svara þeirri spurningu best að byrja á að skoða hvernig gott markaðsefni búið til. Áður en lagt af stað í ferðalag gott að vita hvar maður og hvert maður að fara. Þess vegna byrjum við á stefnumörkun og hugmyndavinnu. Við smíðum konsept. Því næst setjum við framleiðslu í gang og gerum konseptið að veruleika. Og að lokum dreifum við efninu á viðeigandi miðla. Það hins vegar eitt að ná til fólks og annað að ná til fólks. Enda markmið alls markaðsefnis nefnilega að veita neytandanum upplifun. Að miðla upplifun. Krossmiðlun þannig ekki að hanna heilsíðu, skella henni í sjónvarpið, vona hún nýtist einhvern veginn á netið og krossa fingur að hægt sé að aðlaga efnið að snjallsíminu. Krossmiðlun snýst ekki að krossa fingur eða hugsa inn í kassa. Krossmiðlun snýst vel ígrundað konsept sem hefur verið sérsniðið að hverju miðli, eins og sérsniðin föt frá klæðskera. Þannig að, hvað krossmiðlun? Krossmiðlun gott markaðsefni þar sem jákvæð og eftirminnileg upplifun neytandans tilkomin af heilstæðri mótun konsepts að miðlum. Að miðla upplifun.
Dömur mínar og herrar, það mér sannur heiður að fá að kynna fundastjóran ykkar, hinn eina sanna, Sigmar Vilhjálmsson.
Já, takk fyrir það, velkomin á Krossmiðlun 2012 fyrir hönd aðstandenda ráðstefnunnar, býð ykkur öll velkomin. Það var nú ekkert alveg sjálfgefið þegar ég var spurður hvort ég vildi kynna þetta, hvort ég myndi þora því. Þú veist, orðinn gamall og svona. Og ég fór samt að hugsa þetta, sko, það tvennt að velja. Annarkvort stend ég mig vel eða ég stend mig illa. Ef ég stend mig vel, þá það, en ef ég stend mig illa, þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort stend ég mig rosalega illa eða alveg fáránlega illa. Og ef ég stend mig rosalega illa þá það, en ef ég stend mig fáránlega illa, þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort mun einhver hreinlega drepa mig, eða ég verð ekki drepinn. Og ef ég ekki drepinn þá það, en ef ég drepinn þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort ég drepinn þar sem ég finnst ekki, eða ég drepinn þar sem ég finnst. Og ef ég drepinn þar sem ég finnst þá það, en ef ég drepinn þar sem ég finnst ekki, þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort rotnar líkið eða rotnar ekki. Og ef það rotnar ekki þá það, en ef það rotnar þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort verður það lítillir hríslu eða stóru tré. Ef það verður lítillir hríslu þá það, en ef það verður stóru tré þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort verður tréð sagað niður eða verður ekki sagað niður. Og ef það verður ekki sagað niður þá það, en ef það sagað niður þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort gert úr í timbur eða gerður úr í pappír. Og ef það timbur þá það, en ef það pappír þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort skrifpappír eða skeinipapír. Nú ef það skrifpappír þá það, en ef það skeinipapír þá tvennt að velja. Annarkvort pappírinn notaður á almenningsklósetti eða í heimahúsi. Nú ef það notað í heimahúsi þá það, en ef það notað almenningsklósetti þá tvennt að velja. Karlaklósetti eða kvennaklósetti. Nú ef það karlaklósetti þá það, en ef það kvennaklósetti þá tvennt að velja, framan eða aftan. Nú ef það notað aftan þá það, en ef það notað framan þá það bara þess virði að kynna þessa hátíð. Þannig að ég tók þetta að mér og þetta nú í annað skipti sem ég veislustjóri í þessum sal. Síðast þá var ég veislustjóri brúðkaupsins Jóa sem var alveg ótrúlega upplifun. Hann á mjög fallega konu og ekki bara fallega, heldur greinilega mjög einstaka konu því að eins og þið sjáu þá giftist hún klárlega ekki út af útlitinu og klárlega giftist hún ekki vegna fjár. Þannig að hann á mjög gott eintaka konu. Við eigum eftir að renna yfir mjög skemmtileg atriði sem tengist, Krossmiðlun og þið sem vitið ekki hvað við erum að fara að gera þá voruð þið sennilega að fara húsavillt. Það nefnilega lífsleiknisnámskeið Björn Jörundar á jarðhæðinni ef einhver ætlaði þangað. En ég get samt gefið ykkur bara eitt ráð, annars ætlum ég bara að kynna inn. Það allt sem þið gerir, þið skulle vanda ykkur við það. Því að það sem fer á neti, það lifir á netinu. Og ég á mér minn bastard sem ég langar til að deila með ykkur og ég veit ekki hvenær ég mun fá þetta út af internetinu.
Sigmar, hvað viltu segja við sjálfa þig? Hvað viltu segja við sjálfa þig þegar þú ert orðinn 16 ára gamall og ert að horfa á þetta hérna?
Það var rosalega skemmtileg. Ekki anskotið var ég feitur.
Þegar þú varst 14?
Já, ég segi sem sagt þarna mikið anskotið var ég feitur. Mér meðvitaður ungur drengur. En ef við rúllum aðeins létt yfir dagskrána sem ég gerir ráð fyrir að þið hefur örugglega gert líka því annars hefðu þið ekki mætt hingað, að við eigum eftir að fá fyrirlestra hérna frá mjög færum mönnum á sínu sviði. Við ætlum að byrja með mann sem heitir Alexander Kahn og við skulum bara sjá kynningarmyndband þann ágæta mann.
Alexander Kahn framkvæmdastjóri Timgu. Alexander hefur mikinn áhuga á fótbolta, sundi og sjónvarpsþáttunum Friday Night Lights. Hann hefur jafnframt ekki getað haldið gæludýrunum sínum lifandi og aðhyllist íslensku möndruna Þetta reddast.
Technology working? Yeah, we got all the sound on. That's good to hear. So, hey, my name is Alexander Kahn. You may have just heard something about me. I suspect Simon just told a lot of wild stories about me. Everything is true, I promise you. I haven't done anything that's not true in those stories. I'm here to tell you a little bit about mobile strategy, mobile marketing, and what's happening out in the big wide world. There are a lot of cool things going on. And one of my favorite quotes, and I know there's a couple of Google people here as well, they've seen this quote once or twice before. But good old Eric Schmidt said this about 2 years ago, and he's absolutely right. If you don't have a mobile strategy, you're not prepared for the future. We are looking at a world today that is mobile everywhere. I can see one guy right in front of me on his phone checking his email. That's basically the sort of thing that I'm talking about, and I'm going to be developing over the next couple of years. And we've been playing with for a couple of years at Timgu, which is the company I'm representing today. This is going very quickly. I'm enjoying this thoroughly. But fundamentally, guys, it's a very, very simple matter. You've all hopefully played around with Google AdWords before, or you've done TV advertising, print advertising, or any other kind of advertising. Mobile is basically the next big step. This is where everything is happening. This is where the excitement is. And it's because of a couple of different things. So I'll take you through a tour of what mobile can do and what it can't do. And I'll try to give you an insight into the way my brain works. You may be frightened halfway through, but bear with me. So let me take you on a little boat journey here. This is the Timgu pirate boat. And as you know, the talk is please turn off your phones and mind the gap. It's a bit of a play on, has anyone here been to London? Small city, somewhere on the west. Mind the gap is obviously the tube, and what I'm trying to say here is it's really, really, really important for all of you to mind what you do within this field. It is very, very tricky out there. There are thousands of companies, millions of companies around the world who are trying to get this right now. We are seeing exponential growth across Europe. We are seeing something like 400% year-on-year growth within mobile marketing. Not just from pay-per-click and all that stuff, but in actual usage consumers. There's another person using their phone right over there. Anyone else who wants to hold their phone up and tell me that they're using it right now? There's another one. And I will guarantee you, throughout this presentation, you'll check your email, you'll check the news, you'll read up on what's happening. And those are all great opportunities to target an incredibly rich IT crowd. There are 500 of you in this room right now. I could target an ad to all of you right now within this room on your mobile phone if I wanted to. We were thinking about doing it, but decided not to. But some of you might see a Timgu ad anyway because we're retargeting everyone who's in the room, just for the hell of it. But let's take Timgu and the little squirrel out for a little ride. We're going to go on a little treasure hunt. You may recognize this island. We're here at the moment, and I'm very, very grateful to the entire team for bringing us across. It's been an incredible experience so far in the last 24 hours. We've slept about 2 of those, I believe. So it's a little bit tired, but we're getting there slowly. We're going to take a tour around Iceland, and we're going to see a couple of things that are happening on this market. It is quite new. There's still there's a lot of problems within it. The primary problem being that people just don't understand it. And why would they? It's new. I didn't understand television advertising 30 years ago. I wasn't born 30 years ago either, so that probably helps. But let me take you on a little information spree here. So the first slide here, you need to talk about mobile, right? Let me make sure here. Opportunity of a lifetime. Absolutely. There is an incredible market out there. As I said to you, in Iceland at the moment, about 4% of all traffic is from mobile. Now, Marcus is going to disprove me later. I know that as a fact. He's going to tell me that 30% of his customers are coming on mobile. I'm just stealing your thunder. Don't worry about it. But again, those are the kind of trends that we are seeing within mobile. We're seeing 30, 40% across Europe is mobile traffic. An iPad, a Samsung Galaxy, a tablet, a mobile phone, a Sony Vaio device. They're all mobile tablets. We need to think about it in that aspect. And we need to think about it like this. This is your new screen. This is it. You've got literally 5.4 inches of screen to show your message, get someone excited, and do something with it. I'll show you a couple of cases of how to do that at the end, but let me run through some figures for you. So 20% of telecom sales are coming through mobile phones. That's quite an exciting little statistic there. Again, that's actually growing, so this statistic is about 9 months old. We're about 30% now. 35% of smartphone users check Facebook before getting out of bed. There's another slightly scarier statistic on that, but if you want to hear that, I'll share it with you later. I'm the same. I wake up in the morning, I'll look at my phone, I'll check my email, and I'll check Facebook. I'll check Twitter, occasionally. Not a big Twitter fan, but I'm getting there slowly. And just make sure what's happening in the world actually corresponds to what I'm doing. And those are the great times that people market me. I get loads of ads on that phone. I read them all because my brain isn't really in tune yet. I'm not awake, I'm not really thinking about it. And occasionally I get a really good ad, like get half-price go-karting tickets or something. So all right, I'll have that. Think about it that way, and it's suddenly an opportunity to reach out to people who would never have used you before, purely because they're not quite tuned in yet. It's a bit harsh, but it works. Moving swiftly along, get started today. Well, I'm going to say this 100 times or 1,000 times. Mobile marketing is out there. It is dirt cheap. It's actually so cheap that the fact that you're not doing it is the wrong thing. We were paying last week about 8 US cents. So that's what, in Swedish kroner, 500,000, 200 million, I don't know. But you know, fundamentally, it's nothing at the moment. You're talking pennies. In order to buy really, really categorized traffic, both through display banners and through search. So you can use Google, which is obviously the biggest one of the lot, and they're here as well. We're sorry about that, it's not their fault. But they are the dominant player. Buying mobile traffic on phones is incredibly easy. You use the standard setup within AdWords, and you just activate mobile. 90% of you will already be looped in without knowing it. But you can actually create a much more targeted, much richer experience for mobile users. Just thinking about the fact that your screen is now 5 inches and not 15. Ads need to be smaller, they need to be more creative, they need to engage you on a whole different level. You need to give them visuals that people will actually enjoy. So my recommendation, start thinking about it today. When you leave this room, if only one thing that I can give you is think about your mobile strategy. It is going to grow, it's going to explode actually. If you guys have any kind of trend following the rest of Scandinavia, which I know you do, and occasionally you're even ahead of us, which is a little bit frightening. But when it comes to mobile, 400% is a low figure of growth year on year. You should be looking at maybe 700, 800 in a market like this. That means that in 2 years, 3 years, everyone who's here will be doing something on their mobile phone about 25% of the time of their life. That's a lot of opportunity right there. Right, let's see where we go next. I've got to keep up with this as well. These are the global smartphone sale figures for the last couple of years. Bringing it up to date, I took this statistic a couple of days ago. So it's from June. It's a little bit behind, I'm sorry about that. Apple has just released a new iPhone. You may have heard about it. It caused a little bit of a traffic mayhem in central London. But it's always fun when they do this. But the growth rates are there. We're talking 7 billion phones are activated right now that people can actually target in one way or another, whether it's through WAP, primarily in India these days and in Japan still, or through smartphone advertising. You can reach everyone. And I'm not talking about the good old Nokias, as you may be able, not yet, let me go jump to the next one. Here you'll see the smartphone breakdowns. Quite an exciting little thing, because we're looking at Q1 2012, so it's a little bit old, I'm sorry. This market changes every week. Keeping up with it is nearly impossible even for me. But we are looking at a world where Google Android is taking over very, very quickly from the Apple of 2008. So in 2008, Apple sat on about 50, 60% of the market. Today, Android sits on 49.8%. That sounds about right. I got a nod from Google, we're good. But fundamentally, that is an incredible rise from basically not even existing to owning that margin of data. And again, it's an incredibly powerful way for you guys to think about your strategies as well. We all know we have, or I don't know, do you all have, or do a lot of you have iPads? Anyone? Yeah? Okay. 60%, 40% of people in this room have an iPad. It's another device. It's not targeted through normal search. You will be activated into it, but you can engage people in a whole different way. I'm betting that about that 50% of people who are here, 50% of them will play Angry Birds. Yeah? Angry Birds is one of the most fine-tuned games for advertising because the guys behind it, Rovio in Finland, that's why they built it. They built it to earn money, not just for the hell of it. And the advertising within that game is incredibly well done. And if you put in an interstitial or you put in a rich media ad within that game, people will sit and play with it because it's a game within a game. We're getting engagement levels of about 30% when we do stuff like that. which is, you look at a normal display campaign on any kind of media these days, you get 0.01%, you're pretty happy with that. Up to 0.10 is normal. On rich media, 30, 35%, quite happily, quite easily. And they'll be jumping out. People will be all over the place for them. It's crazy at the moment. The other exciting thing that we're seeing within, well, these statistics, I know I'm a big statistic fan, is the fact that smartphones are growing exponentially. The prediction was that in 2014, there are going to be more mobile phones activated than there are PCs in the world. This is primarily not, it's not driven by Iceland, I have to give you that. You're doing your best. But India, China, the entire Southeast Asia, and Africa. And this is primarily because Africa actually skipped a step. They can't afford laptops. They can't afford computers at home. Some of them don't even have electricity at home. But they all have a mobile phone. And with the CTE releasing a couple of new phones for about $40 a pop, those are popping up everywhere in Africa, and they are smartphones. So if you've got a product you can market within those markets, there is a lot of potential out there. Very few people are bothered about it. A lot of the people who actually have money to spend are these kinds of people, if it's a low enough amount. Just give you an idea. Jumping swiftly along. So what do we actually use our phones for? We use it for everything, come on. How often do you guys call from your mobile phone? Any ideas, any thoughts? You actually still use it to call? That's good. About 10% of the time that you actually spend on your mobile phone is used calling. That's a little bit of a scary statistic. 8% is texting. That means that there's 82% left for other things that you're doing on your mobile phone. I'm assuming you can guess what the biggest one is. It's not gaming. It is not, I promise you. It's actually internet browsing. So 25% of the time, people are playing around, they are going on the internet, and they're searching for stuff. Generally, it's a longer search query, so we were debating this last night. Why is that? The theory is very, very simple. It's because when you search on a mobile phone, you do it very differently from a computer. And that's because you're searching for something locally. You want to find the nearest pub in Reykjavik. I want the Irish pub in Reykjavik, yeah? I wouldn't put in Reykjavik on Google because I just assume it knows it already. Google actually knows it on a mobile phone as well, but we just haven't gotten to that point in understanding it yet. I do it myself. I'll type in football club in London. Makes no sense, but that's just the way I've been raised with my mobile. So those are different ways as well to think about the search trends. You've got generally, sorry, 1 second here. You've generally got a 5-string letter search query on a mobile phone, whereas you've got 3-letter string search query on a computer. So that's the big difference. So you've got to think differently, and you've got to build your campaigns, your entire sort of structure, thinking about those kind of things. What other fun things are on here? Market shares, we've already talked a little bit about that. But again, it's growing. There's going to be more and more and more of these, and Android is probably going to dominate most of it, based on the current trend lines. What else is happening? Well, it's a very, very sort of easy divide between men and women, 50-50. Everyone has a phone. There's no sort of differentiator. And within the smartphone market, there's actually more women who use smartphones than men, and they'll use it for a lot more things than men will. We're apparently a very simple breed. We found out that it's a good way to hide watching porn. Not proud of it, but it's true. We've also figured out that we can play Angry Birds, and no one will know that we're doing it in the middle of the office. Women are far more sophisticated, it appears. They figured out that they can just type stuff in, and it'll actually appear on their screens, and they can interact with it. Men, yeah, we're going to catch up with you one day. It probably won't be in the next 10, 15 years, though. What have we got next? Let's have a look. So here's a couple of statistics on where the usage is growing. And the one interesting thing is the data usage. And that's very, very highly linked to free, unlimited data around the world. So a couple of you, I don't know if it has actually happened in Iceland, but I believe you've also got unlimited data on most of your subscription packages. It's the same in the rest of the world, and it's growing like crazy. We're about to get 4G released here in the next couple of years. So around Europe, it's now finally coming to the UK. They promised it next month. Everything, everywhere is releasing it in the UK. And by the summer of 2013, all the major players will have 4G. This means that we're going to be starting watching television on our little phone. We've already got the ability to do it. Unfortunately, it sort of goes like this, which is always fun, but not so useful. So here, as I was saying, these are the statistics on how much time you use on what you're doing. Television's already up there. I don't really know what that button does. So TV and film, 10 minutes at the moment. This is a statistic from the United Kingdom. It came out 2 days ago. So I was a little bit happy when I found this in a newspaper. But it's very, very revealing of what we're up to. We're reading a lot of books. So there's a lot of people who have a Kindle or an Amazon Fire Kindle thing, whatever they're called these days. And those kind of devices, again, are targetable. They've got advertising on quite a few of them these days, because the Kobo, for example, is built on Android's platform. So it's very simple. You can target it using various devices. But the most exciting thing here, and I've already said it, so I sort of preempted myself, is the fact that we don't use our phones to call anymore. We use it for emails, we use it to check the internet, we use it for gaming. This one is a little bit about people and what do they actually use their phones for in specific categories. So Generation Y, or Generation M, as we've called it up here, is my generation, and pretty much everyone in this room's generation. We were born with technology in our left hand and our right hand. We played PlayStation, we played computer games, we played everything. And it means that we're very, very, very comfortable buying stuff online as well. We trust that the PayPal systems of the world are actually going to protect us. So if you have a bad transaction, you know you can reverse it. You can call someone and they'll fix it for you. That's really, really important for internet usage because it changes the environment. And that environment has gone from about 100, obviously 100% was being done on computers, to about 70% of income coming from computers today on an average website that's not been optimized for mobile at all. So I wanted to give you something, just a little thank you for me coming here to Iceland, and Andre, thank you very much for bringing me across. But we actually created a mobile dashboard a couple of days ago, which will show you literally everyone's website in this room. You go on there, there's a link, you can click on it, you can open up your Google Analytics, and it will show you everything about mobile traffic on your website right now. It'll show you the revenue breakdown, it'll show you the categories, the names, the visitors, the whole shebang. So I've taken a little snapshot of it. It's not great quality on the screen, but basically this is a clothes store for children in Copenhagen, and their mobile traffic has risen by 214% this month compared to last month. They haven't mobile optimized their website. The owner actually doesn't believe in mobile traffic. She believes it's a fad and it will go away. She's earning 38% of her revenue from mobile phones today. She still hasn't mobile optimized. We started the process last week, so we're now going to optimize it. And there are some tricks to this. You can do it the hardcore way. You can literally reprogram your entire website into mobile. It's HTML5 is generally the accepted one. You play with a little bit of the design files and you make it responsive design. It means it reshapes itself. If you want, you can play with our website. We've done it the hardcore, old school way. There's also an easy way though. There's a GoMo website that Google released a couple of years ago. I've just heard that it's come out in the Nordics as well, and I'm probably stealing your thunder at this point. Thank you, good. But you can actually go on there and create a mobile site within about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's relatively straightforward. If you want advanced e-commerce modules and stuff, probably not your option. But if you've got a product, you want to promote it, very, very straightforward, very easy, very quick. The third option is my favorite one. You can go on Google, you can type in HTML5 screen adjuster, and you can put a piece of code that's literally 4 lines long onto your website anywhere you want, and it'll readjust the screen to mobile screens immediately if someone comes from a mobile screen. It takes about 8 minutes to do. I did it yesterday for one of my forms, just because I just want it on mobile. So that's something that anyone can do in order to optimize the experience for the user, and at the end of the day, the user is what matters. Let's head over to Sweden. So we've now invaded Sweden. I figured I'd give you a little bit of a case story of something that we did over at Timgu a couple of months ago. So March last year, and there are a couple of Swedes in the crowd, I know that, and hopefully they experienced this or saw it. So about 12 months ago, and I'll go in and jump straight into statistics. So here's some stats on Iceland, internet usage. I'll give you that first. Everyone in this country has internet, apparently. All of you, without a fault, constantly. I think there were 4% of the whole population in the last survey who claimed they'd never used the internet. I don't believe that for a second. I believe everyone's used the internet for something at some point. But there's also a 94% penetration rate, which means 94% of the Icelandic people have internet 24/7. That's a scary statistic. It's one of the highest in the world. So well done on you guys. I'm impressed. The other thing that you can see from there is information. Where do we get our source of information? Very important to everyone as well. What do we trust? Is it TripAdvisor? Is it the teletext on TV? No, it's actually the internet. We trust Google. Google will give us the right answer, or Bing, whichever one you use, will give you the right answer for whatever query you have. Should I go to Greece on holiday? Yes, no, yes, no. Google will tell you. You can literally type that in and it'll say yes or no. It's a scary, scary world out there. And you do it on your mobile phone. That's the best bit. If you type into your phone, holiday in Greece, there are very few ads on there. Here in Iceland, I tested it yesterday. You put in anything, there are very few ads. And it means if you're running a travel agency, it's a perfect opportunity to go and target them. Reach those people, get involved with them, and get them doing stuff. Now, moving on to my invasion of Sweden, which I'm very fond of, actually. Invading Sweden seems like the right thing to do for any Scandinavian. It's either Sweden or Poland, but I wasn't trying to start a world war, so we went with Sweden. What the fundamental story was, we created a campaign about, as I said, in March this year. And the campaign was aimed at conquering the Swedish market and trying to convince them to buy one product for one day. So we got a brief from one of our clients. It's a camera client in Sweden. They said to us, we'd like to sell this 5,000 euro camera. And we'd like to sell at least 100 of them on Manic Monday, which is a special day twice a year where you get a massive discount on products. And they said to us, we need something creative. We've tried display, we've tried TV advertising, we've tried literally anything we can think of. Have you got something new? And we said to them, we don't have anything new, but we've got an idea. And we looked at them and we created a website, just a simple landing page with 2 pictures. You couldn't click on anything, you couldn't buy anything on the page. And we were trying to convince people to come down to the store and pick it up. Now, logic sort of dictates that it's impossible to drive people through a computer, through a mobile phone, through anything to go down to a store and physically buy something. Well, it turns out that's actually possible with mobiles because you're looking for something in your near area. And if you get the messaging right, you can do it in a very, very clever way. So what we basically did was, sorry, I had to hit the microphone once. What we basically did was we created a simple landing page. It was 52 kilobytes of data that you had to download to get on the page, which meant it was literally instantaneous. All you got was 2 pictures of the camera, and you got a map. Where's your local store? That was it. And we then convinced the customer that this was a great idea. Somehow, he bought the whole thing, raw. We got him to say, okay, we'll put 20,000 euros into this idea. So from Friday morning until Sunday, we needed to drive 20,000 euros worth of traffic in Sweden on a mobile phone, which is pretty much impossible, but we managed to use most of it in the end, and get people to come down to the store and buy stuff. Let me give you some of the results of that. So there are 9 million people in Sweden. We hit 17 million people. So we got 2 hits per person in Sweden. We managed to pull off 130,000 clicks. So we had 130,000 visitors in 2 days. We had about 6 visitors per second. We were sitting there watching the statistics as they came in, using Google Analytics Live and Amazon Tracking Live. And we were just seeing the immense interest that people had. Now, the final sort of denunciator on this entire project was a success. Did they actually earn any money? Well, you know the queue that I was talking about Apple and the new iPhone 5 that just came out? These guys beat that queue. And this was in a rainy Monday in Stockholm and in Gothenburg. They literally had a queue around the block. And they ran out of the camera and had to go and buy the competitors' versions of the camera. That was how bad it turned out. They were very upset with us. The target was to earn 30,000 euros from the campaign. They walked away with 180,000 euros after that one day in pure profit. So they were quite happy with that. We've been running their mobile campaigns ever since, surprisingly. And they've been doing crazier and crazier things around the world. But again, it's just an effect of something that everyone uses but doesn't actually think about what it can actually do. The average time and ad spend like that I was mentioning before, they're about 25% of your time is spent on a mobile phone, in reality, of your media consumption these days. Less than 1% of ad spend is on a mobile phone. That's a frightening statistic, because obviously they should match. You take television. In Iceland, I believe it's 280 minutes or so spent a day on television. That's a statistic I was quoted yesterday, at least, so I'm sticking to it. In the UK, it's about 2.5 hours, so we're looking at 150 minutes. And that accounts for about 13% of our actual time spent on medias. And the worst bit is, that's not the only media that you're playing with. Generally, when you're watching a TV show these days, you're also playing with your mobile, or you're playing with your tablet, because there are periods of any show like EastEnders or other terrible television that you can watch where you just don't care and you need something else to do. And that's become the mobile phone. We'll sit and play with it, or we'll play Angry Birds in the middle of the show. It's another opportunity to target people and reiterate a brand message, reiterate a status that you want people to see. You can target them with Facebook likes if you want. You can get people to add you to Google+. You can do whatever you want within this field. You can even convince them to buy stuff. People have a tendency to buy stuff when they're bored or they're lazy. You probably all know that by now, though, so it's all good. But this project, pretty good success. 400 active users at any given time on the page. We got the queues around the block, and we got the sales. How am I doing on time? Am I good, Andre? Yeah. Excellent, good. Moving swiftly along. So I wanted to show you a small video on what's about to happen in the future. So this is a little bit more exciting, a little bit different, but I think you should see it because it is where we're going in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping that there's sound on this as well. I seem to be lacking sound here. We found the sound.
400 years ago, secure the cargo. A power that could have changed the course of history was lost.
All right, that was okay. Still going.
You know what you're doing, Tintin.
Relax! I interviewed a pilot once.
My first exposure to Hergé's Tintin was in...
But again, this was just an example. This is rich media advertising. It is the next big step within mobile advertising. It is quite expensive. There's no denying it. What's happening at the moment is a lot of films are promoting through YouTube, and you've probably all seen the annoying ads that come up before you watch a video. We blame Google for that too, by the way. Don't worry. You've got lots to answer for. But fundamentally, these ads are incredibly, again, I told you, 30% engagement levels we're hitting. That was for the Tintin New Adventures, whatever it was called, Unicorn and the New Adventures. Actually quite a good film if you haven't seen it. But it was an entire rich media ad you just saw. That was within an advertisement. So we basically placed that on one page, and we were just seeing how people reacted to something they could interact with. They could click, they could watch interviews with all the actors, they could see a trailer, they could see another trailer if they wanted to, they could find out where the local cinema was that was showing it. All within the ad, so you don't pay anything for any of this happening. The minute that you paid was the minute that people press book, submit, or go through. And that was it. And then, unfortunately, we're still on the point where it's CPM based. So we pay cost per 1,000 impressions. That's the downside, but it's changing at the moment. So a year ago, it was the only way to do it. Today, there are about 10,000 different mobile networks, and you can pretty much negotiate with all of them, excepting AdMob and InMobi, which are the two biggest. They don't really negotiate with anyone. They never will, they never have. But all the others will negotiate, and you can get CPC prices that are quite cheap. Like you're talking 50 cents, 40 cents, maybe. It's not a bad cost per click when you're looking at a system that can provide that kind of engagement and that kind of excitement, and you don't pay until someone goes through. The final thing that I have for you is, you may have heard about it, hopefully. Let me jump back on here. See if we can't get this to work. No, we can't. That would have been
knowledge and experience and ideas. Well, traditionally that was seen as science fiction, but now we've moved to a world where actually this has become possible. So the best way of explaining it is to just show it. What you can see over here is Tamara, who's holding my phone that's now plugged in. So let me start with this. What we have here is a painting of the great poet Robbie Burns, and it's just a normal image. But if we now switch inputs over to the phone, running our technology, you can see effectively what Tamara is seeing on the screen. And when she points at this image, something magical happens.
Now summer blinks and flowers.
Now what's great about this...
So I'll stop him right there. This is the next big thing that's also happening within mobile. You may all have heard about it or seen something about it. Google Glasses is the big project people are talking about. It's augmented reality. It is creating, just like Google Maps does or anything like that, a layer on top of the real world. And the fun thing about this is you can do it through a mobile phone. So a lot of museums are now starting to add this to their collections. So what you just saw actually does work. It's in the US. We're trying to replicate it at the moment in the United Kingdom with the National Portrait Gallery and the Tate Gallery, because it brings a whole new level of understanding. Now, what they did here was relatively easy. You launch a video. What you can do is give layovers with information. Buy a replica of this painting. Get a signed autograph from the artist, if the artist is still alive. Learn more about the artist. You could even give them the full story of the painting within your mobile phone's environment. And it doesn't take up any space. All you need is an app. And that app will then automatically be turned on constantly. Whenever you highlight it over anything augmented reality that's live, it'll then do stuff like this. That is pretty much everything that I had to say. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take questions. But otherwise, I'm going to hand it over and pass along. Any questions from anyone? Thank you very much. Thank you.